Once we understand the law of attraction, that journey becomes so much easier. And the way I have looked at this and the way I've learned it, and it's not easy because we are not taught this stuff. We are so not taught this stuff. Hi there, it's Blake Cahoon of the Angelic Path, and I'm here today to do a channeling for you. The team wants to go back to law of attraction and go over just a little bit of what that means and how you can use law of attraction to better your life. So law of attraction is one of several natural laws. It is like attracts like, meaning that the universe always agrees with you. It's a very much of a yes universe. It means that the universe is going to look at what you are saying, what are you thinking, what are you doing, and give you what you are attracting or thinking about, or what you're really focusing on. If you're focusing on something really, really hard, you'd think that you'd be able to get it. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule. So when I was young, I had my eyes on more than one boy, and there were several that I really wanted, and I was focused very, very hard on that individual. Fortunately, the universe didn't do like attracts like, because, and that's the thing with universal law, doesn't usually work with people. It works more with things. Attracting things into your concepts in your life as opposed to people, because people have free will. So, trying to attract the most attractive girl, boy, or what have you into your life probably isn't going to work as well, because they have free will. And if they don't have equal feelings that you have for them, it ain't going to work. And that's what I learned. So when I first heard about law of attraction, of course, that's where I went to. And I was like, well, it doesn't work because, and, life went on and I grew up and I matured and I got a little bit more wiser for my years. And when I did come across law of attraction, again, in a different form, because sometimes we need different forms in order to really understand the concepts that are being presented to us. So we might not get it the first 2 or 3 times around, but by the 4th time that it's appearing in our life, we might have an idea and clue and get clued in. Hey, wait a second, this keeps coming up in my life. Maybe I need to start paying attention to it. And that is the universe's way of trying to get you to pay attention to your life, allow you to become a little bit more self-aware and say, hey, what is it I'm really looking for? And the more I have found, the more honest you are with yourself, and that's where we get hung up. The more honest we are with ourselves, and sometimes we really don't want to be honest, but the more honest we are with ourselves, we may say, well, I really want to attract this, this, and this. But inside, you really don't. And it's not going to attract then, because you really don't want it. And you kind of want it, but you don't want it. You're kind of sitting on that fence. Yeah, and the other thing here is, the other aspect of this is, what happens when it isn't good for you? Well, thankfully, the universe knows it's not good for you. And usually your divine team, and in my case, it's my divine guidance team, but it's your team too, your guardian angels, look after and go, okay, it ain't good for this person. What they're asking for is going to lead them down a path that is going to make them tremendously unhappy without any real lessons to be learned. So let's steer them away from that situation. Now, if you're supposed to be going down a path where you're supposed, like a challenging path, and you can really get some life lessons from that, chances are you're going to go down that path. But again, it's what you're attracting. because inside, you know, you need to have this in order you to grow and learn and evolve as a human being. And eventually you'll get that, or you won't. And it'll keep happening until you do. Or you won't, and it'll keep happening, period. But once we understand the law of attraction, that journey becomes so much easier. And the way I have looked at this and the way I've learned it, and it's not easy because we are not taught this stuff. We are so not taught this stuff. So we have to learn it later in life, because I can tell you this, your religious institutions really do, they actually do. That whole ask and it is given is kind of this, but it's not in the phrase that they normally, religion teaches us. Law of cause and effect, or sometimes known as the law of karma, in other words, what you put out, you're going to get back, is also one that is taught even more than law of attraction. We didn't ever call it law of attraction. Sometimes people around us knew it, but they didn't call it law of attraction. They just knew it and they used it. I mean, my mother was like that. One of the things we lived at an apartment complex when I was growing up, and she would always keep the doors open. You know, the screen door was open, the front door was unlocked. And the neighborhood, unfortunately, kind of started getting a little dicey back in the 70s, 80s, because we lived there for a long time. And I'm like, you know, I think we kind of need, because there were some break-ins in the neighborhood. You know, maybe we should. And she goes, why? Nobody's going to break in. Stop worrying about it. And so I didn't lock, and nobody broke in, because mother said nobody was going to break in, because she knew. She was actually using law of attraction, but she never used that term around me. She just knew. You know, hey, I get this kind of abilities from someplace, you know. My mother and father both had these abilities, so I've been doubly blessed. But yeah, so people know law of attraction without calling it law of attraction. Sometimes it's simple common sense. And it's like, you know, if I remember this one girl I worked with, and she lived in an apartment complex. The apartment complex she lived in was fine, but she didn't like it. She was from another city, and apparently in that city they had better complexes or what have you. This was back in Florida where I lived. And so yeah, she comes back and she goes, I think I'm going to get robbed. I know I'm going to get robbed. And we were actually writing about law of attraction and motivational subject and inspirational subject at this company that I was working for at the time. And we both told a co-worker and I both said, stop using those languages, because you're going to attract that which you're proclaiming. And we could not get that concept through to her, because every single day she'd go, I'm going to get robbed. I'm going to get robbed. I'm going to get robbed. So can you guess what happened to her? Yes, she got robbed. She proclaimed it to the universe. The universe said, oh, you want to be robbed? Let me rob you. Let me create circumstances that will allow this to come true, because I'm a yes universe. I'm going to get robbed. I'm going to get this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. This is going to happen to me. This is going to happen to me. This is going to happen to me. Yes, it will. You put your intent into it. You're running probably in a fear-based situation. If you can turn that around, if you can learn to turn that around and become self-aware of what you're saying, because language is very powerful. I once heard a witch tell me, somebody who practices witchcraft or paganism, she was a Wiccan. She said, well, you know, it's spelling. And I said, huh? And she said, it's how you spell the words, your words you use. Very powerful. That's why it's called spelling. Okay, so the words I use can be used as like in a spell, like a magical spell. And she said, yes. And I went, Oh, okay. And then she pointed a bunch of words out to me, and I'm like, oh my God, now you're going down a rabbit hole that I can't even get to. Talk about self-awareness. I would have really had to be self-aware. But I am self-aware to the point where most of the time, yes, even me, who teaches this stuff, even me has sometimes wondered about how to get from here to there and the words I use, and I catch myself. And I've trained those people around me to catch myself and go, Blake, what are you saying? Oops. So yeah, become more self-aware. Do your best in doing that. And once you become more self-aware, you can be understanding of what is in your path currently that you don't like, and how did it get there. And that's part of law of attraction. That's part of working with law of attraction. We may not call it law of attraction, but that's basically how it works. So yes, universe. The universe agrees with you. It always agrees with you. We have a postcard that says that. That's what I'm looking up. I'm seeing it on my bulletin board. Yes, folks, I am not sitting in a garden. This is a beautiful garden. It is not mine. I wish it was, but it isn't. But it is a nice, pleasant background. So at any rate, the law of attraction is a very powerful tool. And I hope we've given you just a little bit, we've given you some insights today about how the law of attraction works, how it doesn't work, and how you can use it for your future to make a better life. Until next time, many blessings.